Hello there. Happy Monday to you. To Sir with Love Mondays, Many Bible Study Series. I hope you're having a fantastic Monday. And I'm not sure if this is the first episode since the new year have begun. So let me wish you and yours Happy New Year if I have not done so already. I want to talk to you today about two men who's in the spotlight. And I chose to put them in the spotlight today because on Saturday, I spoke to women regarding women that these men are known to have done something to. So today I thought, okay, I'll just make it a companion piece. I'll talk about the men that were involved in Saturday's discussion. The men that's in the spotlight today are sons of a priest, the priest named Eli. I will not say their names in this little short conversation because I am known to screw up some names, pronunciation. But when I tell you where you can go and study them, then you could have at it. Pronounce their names the proper way or whatever name you choose to do it as. But I won't, not here, because I think it's difficult for me to pronounce one of their names for sure. So these sons, the sons of Eli, first let me give you a little bit about Eli. Eli is the priest who, when Samuel was a little boy, his mother, Hannah, had been praying for forever to have a child, she and her husband. And when God granted it, the son named Samuel, Hannah said, Lord, if you give me a man child, not only did she say, give me a child, but a man child, I'll give him back to you. And so Samuel was raised up in the temple. And who was his guardian in the temple was Eli, who at the time was an aged priest. And so Eli was well respected by the community at that time, and he was beloved. Well, he had children of his own. And so the Bible tells you about two sons of Eli who also became priests. Now, what can I tell you right off the bat? I'm going to tell you this. Fathers who want their sons to follow in their footsteps, don't push that so much. Don't push it so much, because if God does not ordain for them to be, just to be it because they are your son could turn out to be a horrible thing. As a matter of fact, I know a story real time like that. There was a young man whose father was a pastor, and so he went off to college. His father and the church wanted him to pastor the church after his father. Well, that was not his desire, but he was forced to do it anyway. Oh my God, did he create havoc in the church, among the women, among the money, all of these things. It is a real-time example to the story of Eli's sons. So that's the first thing I think men can learn. Your son, you want him healthy, you want him whole, but you, the man who knows God, pray and ask God, how should I help this one to grow to be whoever you're calling him to be? He doesn't automatically have to walk in my footsteps. So these sons were priests, but they were wicked men. They were known for several things. And when I said this past Saturday, I spoke about them, it's because there were a group of women who served the tabernacle right outside its doors, right? The only person that could go inside of the holy place, the temple, was a priest. But women were assigned task. while they physically served people or operated in their spiritual gifts, but it was outside of the temple, right at the doorway, right? Called ministering women, or the other way they're known is tabernacle women. Well, these two sons are known for taking advantage of them, having sex with the women that's outside of the doorway of the temple. Now, somebody say, hey, don't blame all that just on them. Well, God blamed it on them. So let me tell you why he would blame it. You know, when we speak about that word that the social media platforms don't want us to say, so I'll spell it. RAPE. It's not always a violent act. There are some who succumb to the person who is perpetrating it because they understand that they have very little to no power underneath that influence. So back in the day when women were truly considered property, right? You can imagine how many of them felt like they just had to follow through with what the priest was doing, right? So Eli's sons were known for their treatment of the women that was outside of the temple, outside of the tabernacle. That's one of the reasons that God punished them. The other thing that they are known for is that at that time, it used to be sacrifices, right? People would bring the different things to sacrifice for their sins. It was a way. Back then, it was symbolism for what we come to know that you can ask God, forgive me of my sins. But back then, it was types and shadows, teaching them about the different degrees of sin. So it was different degrees of things that you brought as a sacrifice. Well, Eli's sons, they were known for taking the better cuts of meat. I tell you, these were some rotten guys, okay? So if you brought meat, they took the better portion for themselves and would eat it. Now, check this out. They had no regard for God above or their Father that was on the earth. They was eating the sacrifice. They was eating the better choices of meat, as well as having sex with the women. All right, let's talk about another thing they were known. Okay, treating the offering brought to the tabernacle with contempt. So no matter what people brought, like if somebody brought something and if they were treating it with contempt, instead of sitting it down kindly, they took it and threw it, tossed it. They had no respect, no regard for anything. These sons, they were wicked men. If you are a man who you live according to the code of the street, you should check yourself, because God is a God of his word. He punished these. You too shall not go unpunished. It is the same for me and everyone else under the sound of my voice. Whatever you do catches up with you. So that's why we should live the best that we can, so we don't have this following over our heads. And sometimes what you have done to others, you may not experience, but your offspring will experience. Because Eli, he himself, he was well regarded, but his sons made him look bad as well. So what happened? So Eli was prophesied to, and this is what the prophecy said. Eli, because of your son's behavior, and you did not stop them. How about that? God will punish you and your family. Not one male descendant will live to reach old age. We know many people who have died young, but you don't know what's in the bloodline. You don't know if punishments from what has happened before them ever took place is what we're witnessing. We don't have a clue. But the one thing that I want you to know today, there's two worlds. And in those two worlds, the one is the natural, what you see. The one is the spiritual. And what people are walking there under, only God knows. But if you keep your hand in his hand, if you seek him to get a spiritual comprehension, anybody that stands before you, you can ask of the Lord, who is this person standing before me? Other than eyes, nose, and mouth, and name. Who are they in the spirit? Because you want to be connected to people who don't have a hole in their wagon. But it was prophesied, hey, listen, your sons, because of their wickedness, Eli, you and your family will be punished. Because Eli did not stop them. He did not correct them to the degree that they would be shamed, be guilty, want to do better, and stopped. He just gave them a little hit on the wrist, I guess. But what's wrong with that? The Bible tells us who God corrects is who he loves. Many parents, they say they love little Johnny, little Ann, but little Johnny and little Ann can do and run and say and treat folk any kind of way. You think that's love? That's not love. The Bible says who the Father corrects is who he loves. What does that mean? I got one child in the earth. And if I love her, I need to get her ready for the world. The world will not love you like we love you. So you do everything you can that they be the best they can be, citizens, treating people the way they wish to be treated, that they may command respect, not demand it. When you love yours, get them ready for the world. But no, Eli, he didn't get these ready for the world. He did not punish them, but God did. So these sons, in conclusion, they did just like what the prophecy said. They were no longer living on the earth. The Philistines is who took their lives. They did not reach old age. And here's the even sadder part about it. Eli died the same day he got the news. Isn't that a horrible legacy to live? And that's what these conversations that I give you on Monday is about. Understanding the lives, the lessons, and legacies of biblical men, how learning of them and applying it to your own life, you can have a better life. I say it all the time. You do not have to live someone's life to learn from it. Eli and his two sons can be found in 1 Samuel chapter 2. It's about 8 or 9 verses that tell you about these two sons. Well, I hope you have a great Monday, and I hope it is in you to be better than you were yesterday. Where to start? Ask God, are you pleased with me? And if you feel in your spirit he's pleased with you, continue. If any weight come in your spirit, your thoughts that I could do better, if you can correct it with the people still, because they're around, correct it. If you cannot get in contact with these people, correct it in prayer. Get up from there and be the man that God calls you to be. You are beautiful. He made man first and made us from you. If Proverbs can tell men how to live in wisdom, so can women such as myself who love the Lord, can nudge the brethren and say, hey, listen, there's a better way to live, and I know how. So I'm Cheryl, and this is To Sir with Love Mondays, Men, Mini Bible Study Series. I'll see you next week with another man in the spotlight. Until then, be well.